Every morning, in a quiet house at the edge of the town, 82-year-old Miriam shuffled to the bathroom. The sun crept in through a frosted window, painting the tiled walls in a soft golden hue. Her cat, Whiskers, followed her closely, tail flicking, always curious about her morning rituals. But Miriam wasn't just washing up because it was routine. She had learned, over decades, through experience, books, and from her own mother, that cleanliness was more than just about appearances. It was about life, longevity, health. Miriam's hands, though knotted with arthritis, moved with surprising confidence. She turned the faucet, letting the water warm as she reached for her soft washcloth and a bar of lavender-scented soap. She always started with her hands, fingers first, then palms, the backs of her hands, under the nails. She knew that hands were the gateway to everything: doors, food, faces, even her precious cat. They touched the world and brought the world's remnants home. Keeping them clean wasn't merely about hygiene, it was a line of defense against invisible intruders, bacteria, viruses that preyed on the elderly. She lathered and rinsed, humming an old tune as Whiskers pawed at her slipper. Next, Miriam focused on her face, particularly around her eyes and mouth. Her mother had always said, "Your face greets the world before you do." She carefully washed around her eyes, removing the sleep that clung to her lashes. The area around her nose and mouth she cleaned meticulously. Over the years, Miriam had read that nasal passages and oral hygiene were closely tied to respiratory health, especially as one aged. She didn't just brush her teeth and gargle with warm salt water. She made sure to gently cleanse her face each day, reducing the buildup of oils and dirt that could clog pores or harbor harmful microorganisms. The steam from the warm water loosened tension from her brow, and as she dried her face with a soft towel, she felt refreshed. Miriam's third focus was an area many might overlook, but was crucial: the underarms. As a young woman, she had learned from her grandmother that the lymph nodes beneath the arms were like silent sentinels for the immune system. They filtered out waste and toxins, but if neglected, they could harbor bacteria and contribute to infections. She lathered her washcloth with soap and gently but thoroughly cleaned under each arm, feeling the skin soften beneath her touch. It wasn't just about avoiding odor, though that mattered. It was about stimulating circulation and supporting her body's natural defenses. She finished with a splash of cool water, invigorating her skin and leaving her feeling lighter. Whiskers leapt onto the bathroom counter, watching as Miriam shifted her attention to her feet. It was an area often forgotten, hidden away in socks and slippers, but Miriam knew its importance. She sat on a low stool, lifting one foot at a time into the warm water. She used a soft brush to clean between her toes, across her heels, and under the nails. At her age, circulation in the feet slowed, and unnoticed cuts or fungal infections could quickly become serious. Healthy feet, healthy life, her mother used to say. Miriam massaged her soles gently, encouraging blood flow, then patted them dry with care, applying a touch of moisturizer to keep the skin from cracking. Finally, Miriam focused on her groin area. It was perhaps the most delicate task, but also one of the most vital. She had learned through experience that this region needed daily attention, especially for older adults who were more prone to urinary tract infections and skin irritations. She used a separate, soft cloth and warm water, avoiding harsh soaps that might disrupt the skin's natural balance. She cleaned with gentle, precise motions, ensuring no moisture or residue was left behind. This ritual wasn't about vanity. It was about preserving her dignity and independence. A healthy groin area meant fewer chances of infection, discomfort, and visits to the doctor. When Miriam finished, she stood quietly for a moment. The room filled with the scent of lavender and warm steam. She dressed slowly, in clean, soft clothes, and opened the bathroom window to let the crisp morning air in. Whiskers brushed against her leg, purring, as if approving of her dedication. As she moved into the kitchen to prepare her tea, Miriam reflected on how these simple acts, washing her hands, face, underarms, feet, and groin, had become a sacred daily ritual. They were not chores, but gifts she gave herself, moments of care that fortified her aging body. She thought of her friends who had fallen ill from infections or struggled with ailments that perhaps could have been prevented with a little more attention to these areas. Throughout her day, Miriam felt a quiet strength. She prepared her meals, called her daughter to catch up, and even planned an afternoon walk. Her body felt light, her skin refreshed, her mind clear. She knew that aging wasn't a matter of luck. It was a dance between genetics, environment, and how one cared for the vessel they inhabited. That evening, as she prepared for bed, she repeated her cleansing ritual. The warm water, the gentle touch, the deliberate focus, it grounded her. And as she slipped under her quilt, whiskers curling up beside her, Miriam felt a profound sense of peace. She knew she was doing everything in her power to honor her body and prolong her health. Tomorrow, and each day after, she would wake and wash again, embracing these simple, essential acts that wove the fabric of her longevity.